So I've been using AI to research for about 3 years now. And when talking with other people that are utilizing AI for research, I noticed that they're using it like Google, doing basic searches. And I want to share with you what I've learned over the time of using these tools for research, because each model has its own pros and cons. So Claude is different than ChatGPT, which is different than Perplexity. And also there's different tools associated to the models. So knowing when to use deep research versus basic research is critical to get drastically improved results based off of these learnings. So I have 5 quick tricks that are going to help you improve your results when it comes to AI research. Let's dive in. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, we have 5 tricks or 5 insights that I want to share with you. So the first one is choosing the right model for the task. So each model has its own strengths. We'll start with Grok. So Grok tends to be very good at obviously getting access to X. Hence, its background, Grok is created by XAI, which has direct access to X thanks to Elon Musk owning both. So if I have questions about maybe AI news or AI tactics, I tend to go to Grok first because I know it's likely going to have cutting edge insights and or perspectives that other models might not. Another thing here is controversial topics. So Grok tends to be slightly less restricted in what it will talk about. Oftentimes, when you ask ChatGPT or Claude questions, it'll shy away from different topics. Grok and also DeepSeek are pretty good at actually researching these topics that are somewhat controversial. So, if you have something that's related to politics or kinetic events happening between countries, etc., you may or may not want to use this tool for that. Another one here is Perplexity. So, we'll talk more about this in a later insight or trick. But when using Perplexity, you can target the source that you're specifically looking for. So you have different themes here where you can toggle on different sources. So for instance, we have general web, which is nice, but maybe we want academic specific sources for our research, or maybe we want social information for our research, or even financial information. You can switch these toggles on or off and then target the sources where the AI researches. And I've also found that Perplexity tends to have a more diverse set of sources that are unique to it versus other models, in the sense that maybe ChatGPT and Claude may look at the same sources, but Perplexity, time and time again, from my experience, tends to have access to different sources that they don't reach out to with the same question. So I'd recommend checking out that model as well for a diversity of perspectives if you're comparing model outputs. Our next one here is Claude. So I won't spend too much information on this or too much time on it because I've actually created an entire video on this specific model and why it's unique when it comes to research. But one thing I'll call out is that when this model researches, it has a different architecture in the background. Instead of having a single agent that works in succession, it has multiple agents working in parallel. So you ask a question, that question is sent to a lead agent that orchestrates everything else, sends that question off into chunks, so micro questions, off to different agents that are all researching in parallel, which means that it gets access to more sources, which means it has a broader perspective or more holistic perspective on the research you've asked it to do. One very easy way to see this is just the number of sources that it pulls in. Oftentimes, when you do deep research with other models, it'll look at maybe between, I'd say, 60 and 100 sources. But oftentimes, when you use Claude, you're getting up to around 300 to sometimes I've even seen 400 sources that Claude goes to and looks at and synthesizes before it gives me back a holistic report on a thing that I'm researching. So it tends to be higher quality when it comes to diversity of perspectives. And lastly, is we have Old Faithful. So this is my representation of ChatGPT as Old Faithful. It's the donkey that never quits. So I wouldn't say, I mean, from my experience. So no, all this stuff is from my experience. I wouldn't say it's the best at many things, but it's good and it's average at many like other things. So it's a very reliable AI when it comes to search. I'll talk about other ways you can use this tool to get more out of it, but just note that it's a good tool, but I wouldn't say it's the best at any specific source and or feature. Quick pause in your video. This video is brought to you by me. So I have 2 things I want to share with you. One is a free AI Insights series. So it's 30 days of AI Insights, very practical tips on how you can apply AI to your day-to-day work and also your business. So check that out. The link is below. Second thing is if you'd like to work with me, included in that link is also 3 different ways we can work together. We can do an AI assessment, an AI roadmap, or a custom build. Check out both. Now back to the video. All right, so our second insight is matching the tool to the task. So I'm not talking specifically about models, but tools now. And I've broken this out into 3 categories. So there's 3 types of questions that one can ask. And before I dive into these specifics, first we have fact finding, then we have breadth. So down here we have breadth, and then down here we have depth. So these are the 3 categories of thinking or questions that one would ask. So for fact finding, these are basic questions that you would ask to Google. And for this, you can really use any model. So you can use ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, Gemini, etc. And you don't really even need to use the more sophisticated reasoning models. You can use some of the basic ones that are fast, and we'll get back and answer quickly. So I often use when I'm doing basic searches like this fact finding, I'll use GPT-4o because that's what ChatGPT defaults to. Or sometimes I'll switch on O4 Mini or O4 Mini High if I want to get just a little bit extra juice or reasoning out of the response, but not wait forever to get back to me. Another thing I'll do is I'll use dictation oftentimes. Most of the time I'll use dictation, especially for fact finding. So I'm usually on the move and I'll use dictation either inside the app or within my phone and do a brain dump of what I'm trying to achieve, my intent, etc. Send that off to AI, have it research it and come back with an answer, usually within a few seconds. And two important things that I'll call out here within the realm of fact finding is a lot of people that I've seen use ChatGPT for research, they don't realize that there actually is a toggle down here in the bar for web search. Because if you ask the AI to search something and you don't switch this on, it will sometimes or sometimes not research that specific ask you've given it. Sometimes it'll just use its own knowledge instead of the web. And if we specifically want it to research, we can toggle this on and it will always research no matter what we ask it. That's one way. And ChatGPT has this baked in. Other tools have it baked in as well, but I found that Claude and others, they don't always research the topic if you turn it on. So another way to ensure that it's researching something on your behalf, and I have here as an example for Claude, is when you ask it to research something, you can say, "Hey, I want you to research X and ensure the info is up to date as of today's date." So in here, what I'll usually put is today's date. So if it's July, I'll say July 24th, 2025. And then that then forces the AI to find information that's up to date to that date range that I'm interested in. So it's important to note that you can force the AI in other ways to make it research instead of just switching on the toggle. And here's a simple example for a fact finding question that I would maybe ask one of these tools. So, what are some of the best coffee shops in X location of NYC? I want good vibes, internet access, and plenty of seating. So, this is a very basic fact finding question where the AI will go off and research, provide back maybe a list of 5 or 10 coffee shops, and I'll get the answer I want through dictation. Our next option is breadth. So, this is where we want to figure out at a mass scale doing a trend analysis over a variety of topics and a variety of sources, trying to get as many perspectives as possible, but we don't want to wait forever. I found that O3 and also Opus and Sonnet 4, these high-end reasoning models, when they're connected to web search, they tend to do a very good job at a quick response and a quick search to get a holistic perspective on an ask, and they give back an answer I don't have to wait forever on. So this is when I'm asking a broad question that I want a quick answer to or a relatively quick answer to, I'll use these two models with the basic web search switched on, not deep research, but the basic web search. And here's a simple question that I asked it recently in that context of a broad question. So I'm looking for alternative headsets to this specific type of headphone, and I'm wondering if it'll stay in my head, like in my ear when I work out, and making sure that it's a similar price or cheaper, and it has all these different constraints that I care about. In addition to this, I've also asked it to create a table comparing the different products. So this is a broad search with a comparison between products. So I often use the basic O3 or Sonnet or Opus 4 with web search, and I'll get a response that I feel like is good enough without me having to wait maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes for it to do a deep research report. Which brings me on to our next point, which is depth. So this is when we switch on deep research. And ideally, when asking these models for very specific questions, it's important that we have a more specific question because the more specific the question and the ask, the better response you're going to get back. And for me, oftentimes when I do deep research, the main driver for me is Claude for the time being. And back to the point that I made previously around parallel agents and getting more resources and a holistic perspective. That's the reason that I use this model because it's going to get me likely a high quality response. And I don't have to necessarily use deep research for all the models, but just this one to get something that I feel like is going to be as good, if not better, than the other providers. And here's just a simple example of what we could ask in a deep research question. It's a very specific question looking for depth. So here we're saying summarize all the studies since 2022 on the long term metabolic effects of GLP-1 drugs in healthy adults. Point out the open questions. So this here is a very specific question, and I wanted to do a very specific thing. So I think when you want to get the best results from an AI, especially when using deep research, you should ensure that your question is either very clear and concise, and or if it's not hyper clear, you want to add as much context as possible so the AI has a good idea of your intent, your goals, what you're going to do with the data afterwards, etc. So this is our second trick, which is matching tools. The third one is looking at the usage of AI as abundance over scarcity. Now, oftentimes when I experience different types of AI users, the ones that are more advanced in their usage, they take an abundant mindset where they're asking the AI multiple questions, either the same question to the same AI multiple times, or they're asking one question to many AIs, looking at different perspectives from each. For deep research, oftentimes what I'll do is if I'm asking a question that really matters to me, where I want to learn something or it's critical for some sort of client engagement or project, I want to get a diversity of responses. So I'll ask every single AI with deep research switched on the same question with the same context to get all the reports back. And once I get these back, there's two things that I can do with this. If it's something in relation to learning, so if I want to learn something, I'll likely read all of the responses. And this is a version of somebody doing the old school version of learning, where you're just reading through all the content and digesting it yourself. And then there's another approach here where if I'm time constrained or I want some sort of synthesis or aggregation of the outputs, I will likely use another AI to do the synthesis. And there's three ways you can go about this. There's an okay way, there's a better way, and then there's an ideal way. So the okay way is likely what everybody else would do. And this is something I've done and I've fallen victim to. Is say you've gotten a deep research output from every single one of the models. So we have GPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, and Gemini. And we then have another model at the front that's synthesizing the outputs of all these models into a final report. The issue with this approach is if the model that's doing the synthesizing is also the same model that's having an input report, it's likely going to bias this input heavily and take most of the content from this model's output instead of any of the others. So if that happens, you want to be mindful that there's a strong bias in an AI's own writing and own research. So that's the okay approach. A better approach is having a third party model that's agnostic of the inputs. So here we have ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Grok, and they're all going into Gemini. So Gemini isn't biased towards any of these models, ideally. So if you use this model, then you're likely going to get a less biased output that's more distributed based off of the inputs provided and the associated question you've asked. And then finally, the ideal approach here is both taking the third party approach where we have a third party model that's not the same as the input, and we're asking a very specific question for the synthesis and aggregation. And to give you an example of what this looks like, say that we're aggregating the insights from the GLP-1 example that I gave above. In this synthesis, this is what we're looking for. If a study is mentioned in one report, but missing from the other reports, I want you to include it in the final aggregated report, as long as it fits our existing constraints, which is a report that's published as of 2022. So we're asking a very specific question that if there's anything that's cited in one of these inputs that's not cited in the rest and not included in the final piece, I need you to include it as long as it matches our constraints. The reason this is better than saying, I want you to aggregate all of the best insights, or I want you to aggregate all of the unique insights from these reports. Unique and best are very vague terms that aren't specific enough for the AI to then pull on and constraining it. Because if you don't constrain it and you give it a broad ask like that, it's likely going to bias even if it is a third party model. And this is speaking from experience. So that's our third trick, which is using abundance over scarcity. And then our fourth one is using the right source for the right job. So we've talked about this a bit with Perplexity, but if you do want to target a specific source, this is one way you can go about doing it. So Perplexity has these toggles, so you can use them as of now. I'm sure other models will create this feature and add it to theirs. But when you're doing research, you can toggle these on. I often use social when I'm looking for different items on Reddit and Hacker News and things like that. So that's one way to do this. Another way is if a model doesn't have this available, so say you're using ChatGPT or Claude and they can't switch on a source, you can actually do an approach like this, where you're either including or excluding sources. So these are two examples of prompts. We'll start with the first one, which is including. And here we're asking it to research new tactics of how people are using Claude Code for app development as of Y date. So remember, we want to specify the date, so we're forcing the research. And then focus on these specific sources. So I want you to focus on Reddit, I want you to focus on X, and I also want you to focus on Hacker News. These are the three sources I want you to care about. Once you've looked at these as your primary sources, then and only then can you go to other sources outside of these ones that I've mentioned, and then you can provide that information back. So by forcing this via the prompt and ensuring that the AI searches these sources, I found personally that it often goes to the sources as expected, and it gets more insight based off of the things I'm interested in. So this is a common tactic that I'll use often. Another approach to this is the opposite. So maybe instead of inclusion, you do exclusion. So for the exclusion, everything's the same, but at the end we say, okay, I want you to avoid any forums or social media, and then instead I want you to focus on mainstream outlets and academia. So that's the opposite approach, where you're saying avoid certain categories of different types of sources to ensure that it's not looking at those. So I've used this a bit, so I'm not super experienced in using the exclusion approach, but if you have an idea of what sources you're interested in, I'd recommend using the inclusion approach. So that's our fourth tactic, right source, right job. And our fifth and final trick here is the AI interview. So this is something I've talked about a ton, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it here, but just note that if you're interested in learning more about this specific approach, I have a video on this that talks through the AI interview process. But the premise here is what we're trying to do is we oftentimes have stuff in our head. So this little circle is our head, and then this out here is the world. So we want the AI to get out of what's in our head into the world. So we're going to take something that's implicit, we're going to make it explicit. And the reason we're doing this is oftentimes we have general ideas of what we want to research, but we've not articulated in detail the goal of what we're trying to achieve, the intent, the specific constraints that we care about, etc. And it's hard to do this without guidance. So we can use AI to guide us in that process. And what I'll often do is I'll often do a reverse interview if that is the situation that I'm in, where I have an idea what I want to research, but I'm not necessarily on the details. So I'll use a smart and fast model like O4 Mini because I don't want to wait for it to ask me a bunch of questions. And I'll prompt it initially saying, hey, I want you to ask me one question at a time, ensuring that every answer that I provide you informs the next question that you ask. And then I'll also provide it a bunch of context saying that I want you to help me create a prompt that we're going to provide to another AI that's going to do deep research on our behalf. And I want you to ask me questions in relation to this topic that I would like us to research more thoroughly with this goal in mind. Once I've given it that context, it'll ask me a series of questions. At the very end of this, it'll then give me a final prompt or a final context document or however you want to specify it. And then we can take this and shove that into our deep research model to do the research for us. So through that process, we've made what's implicit in our head more concrete and explicit so we can give it to the model and get higher output quality from the model we're using for deep research. And that's it. Those are the 5 tricks. So we have the AI interview, we have choosing the right source for the right job, we have abundance over scarcity, we have matching tools to tasks, and then choosing the right model based off of the strengths each one has. If you enjoyed this, feel free to share this video with your friends. Also, like I said previously, I have a link below that's access to a 30-day AI Insight series. So you get 30 days of practical AI tips of how you can apply AI to your business day in and day out, and also to your job. So if that's interesting, below is the link, completely free. With that being said, Internet, I'll see you next time.